entrepreneurs, founders, people, trying to build their own sweaty startup, trying to go out there, raise money, trying to even just raise support, other people to join them. How do you reconcile being that headstrong, confident founder versus being flexible, coachable, reasonable?
I think that is the toughest balance in business, because you cannot be a successful entrepreneur unless you have irrational confidence. You cannot win.
Okay, hold on. Say that again. You cannot
be a successful entrepreneur unless you have some degree of irrational confidence, meaning you think things are going to be easier than they are. You think that you can do it. You have to be crazy to start a business. You really do. The odds are against you. Your competitors have an advantage in almost every single way. We could talk about all that, but you have to be irrationally confident. Like I know a ton of people, and so do you, who have been massively successful in their lives and careers simply because they're not insecure.
Yeah.
So that's one side of it. But then the other side of it is I have on the mirror above my sink where I brush my teeth, I have a little piece of paper taped to the wall with a couple words on it. It says, change your mind often. Because if you tell the smart people around you who disagree with you that they're wrong, and you disregard their opinions, and you see new information, you have new information coming in that changes things for you, and you disregard that, I don't know anybody who can win with that mindset, no matter how good they are, how smart they are. You cannot will something into existence when logic is pointing you in a different direction. So I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth here. I'm saying you need irrational confidence, but you also need the humility to change your mind. I don't know where you stand on that, but I think it's a unique balance.
Absolutely. I think that we can all imagine examples in our lives or even from TV of both of these extremes. Humans that are just irrationally confident. They're locked on a vision. They will not relent. They will not bend. They will not break. They will not compromise. And that's celebrated in media because it's a fantastic story. And often it is the case. But I submit to anyone that's observed that, in examples like Steve Jobs, who just, would not relent on certain details and things like that. If you get close to the story, you'll often find out it was more nuanced than that.
Yeah.
It's fun to tell an extreme story. And even if those extremes are true, by instance, they won't be true in the broader scheme of things. As an example, Steve Jobs didn't build the iPhone, right? Like it was built by literally hundreds of people who had a hand in the programming and circuitry and sourcing and everything else. But of course, we can perceive it more simply as, Steve Jobs had this vision and he wouldn't compromise. And I'm not trying to pick on Steve Jobs. It's just that all of these absolutes are always more nuanced. And so this idea that a entrepreneur doesn't have to be an entrepreneur, a leader in any capacity has to be headstrong, confident, uncompromising when it comes to like the vision and the outcome is absolutely tempered by a certain degree of humility, a willingness to listen, a willingness to change one's mind. And I agree with you. The leader that refuses to do so, even because of, let's say, bad examples that they might have seen in media, will ultimately fail because they will lose the confidence of those around them. They'll be intolerable. Now, the tricky part is, and this is, again, why I'm always trying to preach, this is why you're paid the big bucks, either metaphorically or literally, right? You're the CEO of your own life. You have to make the hard decisions, and they're hard because there is no right answer. There are times when you have to be unwilling to compromise, and there are times where you have to swallow your own pride and hear someone else's idea that turns out to be better than yours or whatever the case may be. And the judgment to choose which to do when is why you're paid the big bucks.
Yep. I've been in a meeting with a leader of one of my companies who has a big idea or something they want to change. And I've held strong and told them, no, this is not a good idea. We have to focus. We have to keep this simple. I think you're wrong. And I'm willing to stand beside that. always in a respectful way. It does drive me nuts how these business movies and shows show asshole leaders who have this weird aura and power, because that's not how any successful operator that I know operates. But then on the other side, I had my head of finance in the self-storage business went on vacation for 2 weeks. And while he was gone, this was 2022, I had 2 offers accepted on buildings that I made the offer price on. He gets back from vacation and he's digging into the underwriting. He's like, Nick, we need to talk. These offers were signed and we have big brokers that are working with us and now our name is on the line, but we got to drop these contracts. Like we cannot afford to pay what you said we can afford to pay. And I was like, holy cow. And this was in a team meeting where he told the big boss, me, the owner of the company, in front of 3 or 4 other people, that Nick, I disagree with this. Like, we can't pay this. We need to drop these contracts. This is risky for the company. And he gave these reasons. And I listened. I said, okay, I'll do it. I'll call the broker. I'll say, hey, look, we had a miscommunication. We cannot pay this much. I know our reputation is at stake, but I fucked up. It saved our business, because interest rates from 2022 to 2025 tripled or doubled. It went from 3.5% to 7%. And those deals would have been very stressful for us if we would have bought them at the price that I wanted to buy them at. And me listening to my head of sales and having the humility to say, oh shit, how's wrong here? Saved us a lot of headache in the future.